This video will demonstrate a faux wood graining project that proved to be surprisingly realistic. It fooled all of my friends and even a veteran cabinet maker with over 40 years of woodworking experience.
I'm going to be painting a faux finish on these staircase rails. The rails have previously been finished with a varnish. They've been sanded, cleaned, masked off. And I've prepared 3 different colors of paint. I'm using oil-based enamel. I find that it blends a little bit better. And I've got starting off with a brown. It's kind of a medium brown color. And I'm just going to roll it on here with a 1/4-inch nap roller. And you can put any kind of a pattern on here. This is just the base coat. We're going to come back after this dries and do some graining on it. But right now, we want to give a good base coat of several colors. I'm using a brown. Then I'm using a darker brown also in with it. Because as we know, no 2 pieces of wood are the same, and they're not all one color. So we want to kind of mix in some different colors. We've got a couple of shade variations here. The roller makes it quick. The third color is a gold. The wood that I'm trying to simulate is a cherry. There's a variation of colors in cherry. I'm going to take a brush. I've used a foam brush to apply this one color. Then I'm going to take a brush. It's a natural bristle brush which is made for oil-based paint. And I'm just going to smooth it out. Now I've got a subtle variation of color from a base coat. And after this dries, I'm going to come back, do the veining. Okay, now that we have the base coat dry, we're going to put on the graining. And what I've done, I've taken a little bit darker tone of brown, and it's actually a 10 striping brush, but any brush that will give you a fine line will work. And you just want to come in and start putting in some little stripes, some little lines that will indicate the veins of the grain. You notice these lines aren't perfectly uniform. They're not perfectly straight. That's fine. And then we want to take our brush, a little bit broader brush. It's a flat brush. And then we're going to work in just a little bit more of that darker brown. And it's also going to pick up some of the brown that's in the stripes and give you more of the finer grain. It's key to keep not only, like I say, to use oil-based paint, but it's got to be rather thin. You're not going to be able to work with it if it's real heavy. So you've got to. I like to keep a can of mineral spirits handy and keep dipping it in there to keep the paint a little bit thin. Okay, now I'm going to come up here like so. Put some little peaks in there, and you'll notice I want more paint actually at the top, right here. So it's going to give you more natural look. You can see I'm not really being all that careful with it. And then as we go, these peaks are going to get closer and closer together because that's the way they really are in nature. Again, we take our flat brush, get just a touch of paint on it. You basically work, this is really a kind of a dry brush technique. And what you can also do too, to kind of soften this grain up around these peaks, is kind of use a stippling effect. It kind of softens that area at the top of the peak, and then we brush upward, giving it a natural grainy effect. There's a fine line between being very soft and then picking up enough paint to actually give you that natural grain look.
To recap, I cleaned and sanded these 22-year-old banisters, which were originally stained and varnished. Using 2 small short nap rollers, I coated the surfaces with 2 shades of brown oil-based gloss enamel. I then filled in any remaining areas with a brownish gold enamel using a 1-inch foam brush. Then I quickly blended these 3 colors using a natural bristle brush. After allowing the paint to dry, I proceeded with the graining process. Using a pinstriping brush and dark brown oil-based enamel, I painted stripes using cherry furniture as my reference. I then dragged a flat, fairly stiff bristle brush with a small amount of the dark brown paint throughout the surface, leaving a fine, grainy effect. I hope this will help in your next faux wood graining project.